This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, miniatures, and paints, discount prices at miniaturemarket.com.
Hey everybody, well, welcome to part 2 of painting our Rising Sun. We're going to be finishing up some of the bigger monsters here for the original set, except I pulled one out from the Dynamo set only because he looks like Godzilla, and I just had to get him out here to paint, so it inspired me to paint a little faster. You can see his card right here and what's going on with him. And also we got on the slate, and I figured because we're basically going to be doing two of the same things kind of here. As you see, it's a very bright red type of skin. Makes it a little easier and quicker to work with. So we are going to be taking care of our two big friends here. And then finally, almost kind of an orcish skin. And if you got kids, I think you may want to be careful on watching this one, because he's got a bunch of chopped up legs hanging off of him. And a lot of them have heads hanging from them as well. Particularly this particular monster, where his belt is basically a bunch of chopped off heads. So, you know, if it's a little sensitive, you're going to want to watch it. So, without further ado, let's just get down and get really down to the basic nitty-gritty and get all our basic colors on here. So what I'm going to show you is how to slop some paint on here, get it on there quickly, and then do our touch-ups. So without further ado, let's go down to the table and get going. Putting the two big boys aside here, we are going to get the skin on here. We're going to use a corn red. We're quickly going to apply that, and I'm going to show you how to do that. You see that the corn red actually goes on not as bright a red as you would think. I'm trying just to get the skin tones here, and all I'm doing is moving this around. I'm not worried about getting it on things. Again, we're just going to slob it on here a bit. It's all about coverage right now and just getting in there. So I'm going to finish this up, and I'm going to show you how this is going to look at the end. So as you can see, I kind of slovenly just really got that color in there. Now if you notice at the cloak here, and you'll notice that the cloak on the card is also that type of red, but we're going to change the hue on it just a bit so you can tell the difference between the cloak and of course the skin on him. We also took care of this guy, so we're going to let that sit for a little bit. We're going to push these aside and move on to our next phase. So for the big fella here, what we're going to do, as tempted as I am to paint him totally gray with light blue scales, we are going to go kind of with the card, and we are going to go with a Castilian green. So I'm going to get this shooken up, thinned out, and onto the big boy. You see how this is going on? It's just going on nice and easy, and all you're doing is just taking your brush, make sure you hit every single area on the big fella. Don't worry about getting in his mouth or in the front of him. And all we're trying to do is just make sure that, don't worry about even getting it on the base. Let's just get him totally covered in this prime color for him. And we have a nice black base, and we are just working and going to get him all geared up and ready to go. So I'm going to finish this, and I'm going to come right back. Okay, as you can see, I used the same Castile green on him, but there's two variances here. Okay, first off, we're looking at two different creatures here. Okay, first of all, we're looking at this giant lizard, and then of course we're looking at this guy here who just seems to enjoy chopping people up. The difference is we're going to lighten that skin up. This is a base on here to cover the black. It dims it down, but we're actually going to lighten this skin up. This we're going to actually darken up. So there's two variances with the same type of base color, and you're going to see two extremely different types of techniques performed with each model. Alright, let's move along. Now next color I'm going to use on this guy is a Morphang brown, and as you can see, I'm already working on it. Again, this is just a base color, so I'm not worried about where I'm getting it. Even if I got it on the green, I'm not too worried about it. I'm just kind of just working it into different areas, getting it in his hair, slovenly putting it on there. But it is a base that I'm going to touch everything up, but I wanted to make sure that I got his fur going and got it all the way around him, because it's a big part of him. Got some in his hair, got some on those legs on there. I'm not worried about it because I'm going to clean all this up. But right now it's just covering, it's about covering area and getting it ready and doing it quickly. As you see, I took a little dry bark and I'm just hitting his pants area. Again, I'm not worried about, because I'm going to have to do a complete cleanup on this, that I am just kind of hitting the areas, the big areas, and just getting that all where I need to get it. So let's pull out our next color and start touching up a thing or two. Next thing we wanted to do was take some Retribution armor, an old favorite as always, whoops, and just kind of hit over some of the areas here, like these guys' balls. They're his mace balls and the cords, just very loosely over there, because we really want to get that wash on there next. So doing that, and then we'll clean everything up. It's not going to matter too much when we begin our next stage. The most important thing now is to take and start considering our skin textures and getting them where we want them to be, so when we go to our video to do the highlights, we don't have to wait for the washes as long. Now these first washes I'm going to do are really important because they're going to set the tempo here. So I'm going to take a Athonian camo shade, and I'm just going to get it all over the big guy here. And I shook it up real good. And I'm going to just stick my brush in there, and I'm just going to really work this into the recesses. Now it's not going to darken them up too much, but it's going to darken that skin and really get in those recesses that we always talk about. So it's really going to show out on his scales. So we really want to work this in, and we're not worried about how heavy it's going to be and everything like that. And the same thing with our friend here. We're going to take some of this ammo camo shade and really work it into his skin. I'm not worried about getting it anywhere else. I really want to darken this area here. All his skin, I really want to darken it up before I lighten him up and darken him more. So let me finish this up and I'll show you how it looks when it's done. We'll let these guys dry, and then what we're going to do is we're going to move on to our next color, which over the red that we laid down and the gold that we laid down, we are going to put a Reichland flesh shade. We're going to darken this all up. We're not worried about all the other stuff, but we really want to get this so we can get the color that we're looking for out. We want to get this flesh shade into all the recesses and darken those things up, and then we'll come back with a brighter red while we're doing the highlights, and you'll see how the skin and the cloak changes, and over here you're going to see how we're going to be able to bring to life everything. So I'm going to get going on this, and then I'm going to show you what's up. Again, just taking a good amount and just not being afraid to smother it in there. You see how it's darkening everything up very nicely. Exactly all I want to do. There's a lot of other stuff that we want to get to here, and we will get to that. I'm going to keep going with this, and I'll show you what happens when I am done. As you can see here, it just really darkens up that red that we're looking to do, so we can brighten outwards. We got good fill in the recesses here, and here, especially here with this guy, you can see that we kind of darkened everything up very nicely, just the way we want it, so we can build outwards which we will be doing live Thursday as I show you how to finish these guys. Now this whole process maybe took me about a half hour, so we're going to go live for an entire hour, maybe a little bit more on Thursday, and show you how to finish these guys up and get them to the table as quickly as possible, because that's what's the most important thing, is getting them painted neatly, uniquely, and to the table so you can play with all your friends. Now, right now they don't look like much, but trust me, we're on our way. But let's send it on up top and get on out of here. Well, there you have it. We got everything all prepped up and ready for our Thursday show. Nothing fancy here, just getting it on there, getting the skin wash on there so we can work our way outwards, then take our brush, our thinner brushes and our highlighting brushes, and really start to pick out things in detail, and then take our detail brushes and detail that on top of that, and get it all done in about an hour, hour and a half, I think, to get these 4 guys done. We got this right where we need to do, so I think the total for the 4 guys, I think you'd probably invest maybe 2 hours if you had to, if you follow it this way. Remember, it depends on you and how you want to do things and how you see things in your mind and visualize it and paint on the plastic canvas, shall we say. So that is it for today, and when I see you guys on Thursday, we'll be ready to go and get these guys right where they need to be. Till next time, it's your old pal Rob. We'll see you soon.